And welcome to another adventure on Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and joining me tonight is a guest who has so much to share and so much awesome information and many great adventures. We were even talking about the never-ending story before we came on, so you guys are in for a huge treat. I am so blessed and honored to have my guest on, and I could sit here and shower with more compliments, but we have a show to get to, so I'm going to instead hand it over to the one, the only, the amazing dragon extraordinaire, Violet Ray's Jane.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for having me. I'm so excited. I wanted to start us all off, if we could, with a prayer that I wrote, which is something very important that in how we navigate this new world to incorporate in our life. Okay, to start. I call upon the Most High in the name and blood of Jesus Christ. I wipe and cast out all monitoring spirits and negative entities, banning any interference. I disable and remove implant devices and tethers as we do not consent to any ill intent. Any karmic ties, DNA binds, and evil eye now dissolved and rebuked, all God aligned. Any auric holes now sealed with divine light. Surrounded by the guardians of light, we call upon Archangel Michael and his legion of angels, our ancestors of light, the dragons, and resistance teams, Star Alliance teams, personal guides, and higher self, as we open a portal now, filled with golden source light, coming down through our crowns and all around, sending it into the ground. We are supported and protected within the here and now. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
So you have so much interesting backgrounds, and there's one thing that jumped out of your bio that I was wondering if you wouldn't mind getting into first, and that is with the ascension and everything that everyone's focusing on. Nobody is looking at the grid work that needs to be done. And so can you share with us your work with the grid work and how the dragons and all the other beings tie into it?
Yeah. This has been an unbelievable journey, adventure movie, even myself. I feel like I'm a character in my own movie. And I'll look up and be like, gosh, like I just laugh at my own creation sometimes. Grid work and the ascension, basically, because it just has evolved that way, my life has evolved to being drafted per se out on the road and living in full faith with the land. The grids are how we ascend the planet. Because this planet, Earth, is our mother, right? And we've had that disconnection from her. She is basically our DNA molecule in a ball. And so with my job is I work on portals. I found that is the most thing I do. The portals connect all the grids. And I'm not just talking like the vortexes like Sedona, like all the big ones. I'm talking they are everywhere. Everywhere I show up, on the land in people's houses, people are portals. That the understanding that basically everything is a portal, from our words, right, to this screen. And so it's healing the trauma of the earth. And I went across country this year. I've, worked on a lot of different places. And basically I have to, wherever I end up or my consciousness is guided to, it's like reliving those lifetimes and trauma and war imprints inside the earth, which multidimensionally is overlaid. It's like Atlantis, Lemuria, right? It's like Babylon, the Orion Wars. You could go on and on and on and on and on. The time of the giants. Basically, it is healing the separation. So with the ascension, this word now, and on they call the twin flame journey, I call the initiate of the flame, the grid workers hold the DNA blueprint that matches the earth and is of the dragon lineages, dragon's blood, because the dragons were the first creators. So they came right from source. So those of us who do this work, the fallen angelic also that I talk about, it's just the fallen angels, the fallen seraphim, right? And the dragons, they're one and the same, right? The dragons make up this planet. So they are, the ley lines, but also in the center of the earth, and then the rocks mixed with their children, the Nephilim. So the ascension, the word ascension almost feels like done. I don't know how to explain it. I know the rest of the collective is not maybe yet caught up, but those of us kind of streaming this forward, doing the, trauma healing and, shifting our own lives, realigning with God and getting these activations of memories and people getting their missions with the planet. It's why the tectonic plates are moving, why there's earthquakes. Now, of course, they're doing lots of weather manipulation and all of that kind of stuff, but the giants are waking up. And so are the dragons, which is why it's all moving, because she is purging out that trauma. So the word ascension, I feel like we've been on for so long. We're not ascended, but we have already crossed that threshold where I was trying to almost come up with a new name of it. And that's where I'm saying, where I'm at in multidimensional mastery and seeing and experiencing all of the realms like I'm on an acid trip 24/7, is they're all overlay. They're all overlay at the same time because it's outside of time. There is no time. So the ascension is now right now. Our ship has taken off. This 3D we're still in, but even in my personal reality, I don't know about you, but it's still the same. I'm looking at the same physical, but my mind is completely different. And I'm already out of here, right? We're just kind of like, it's like our future selves. I always see like myself and a lot of us that came down here as volunteers and as original creators, that we're from the future, came in the past to rescue us or rescue ourselves, because this is a self-rescue mission for all of us, to return home, which is the ascension, which is inside this collective dream. So the earth, that's what is catching up. That's where the collective consciousness resides, within the grids. And so, this work with the dragons and that connection came about 5 years ago when it was another near death that I had. And And I was unable to heal because I had such demonic attacks that when I tried to heal, it would get so severe. And I couldn't die. Like, I'd have to kill myself, right? I couldn't die and I couldn't heal. And I had this moment where I remember saying, like, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. And that night I had 2 Arcturian beings come in my room. It felt like I witnessed it and felt it, but the one had relations with me. Even though I had been on an awakening journey for about 20 years, I was chronically dealing with chronic illness, a lot of abuse situations and demonic attacks, all leading up there, fighting to survive. And when my Kundalini came on, so did all of my memories, and my shamanic abilities became wild. And I remembered myself as a pink dragon from Venus. And being on the twin flame journey already since 2014, that activation, when I saw the pink dragon, and that was my first experience with ETs like that. I mean, I had channeled, I think, the Palladians. It started 2017 maybe, but I never had that experience. And so, it was bringing all these other elements that I wasn't even aware of. And so within that, I saw that I was a pink dragon and Venus, and my counterpart, or what they say twin flame, which is, I can get into that story later, but was the red dragon at the center of the earth. And I was just waiting for him to wake up. And as a grid worker and getting constant channels on different land, from Shambhala to the Anunnaki, it's like constant, and being able to recover through my body and my DNA and recover the portals and the vortexes wherever I go. And that restores the DNA within me. The dragons became everything, really, in my memories within myself, that I could turn into a dragon. I can see myself morph, and the abilities we have of universal love that the dragons carry. So the red dragon at the center of the earth that it showed me was like my counterpart, which I can't, not mine, but that was the story. It's what it felt like. Last year, in November 2024, I had another near-death experience, and the red dragon met me, and he had woken up. And as I had left my body, he laid on my body. His nostril was the size of my whole body, and I felt his breath as I was exiting. And the red dragon is Lucifer, but the red dragon is also the root chakra of the earth that I saw like as a hard ball in the center of the earth. So the red root chakra has awoken, meaning the earth's Kundalini is awakening. That's how the whole planet is able to ascend and have access within the grids. I've met many, many different dragons. I have 4 dragons myself, but in human form. I've met people that have dragon in their blood, and they're all different colors. And the connection was, oh my goodness, they're all the chakra colors, all of these, different aspects and dragons that are now coming online. So as this collective, we have already reached that, it's like 5D, like all of these terms are just kind of I would love to use new terms. It's a unity state of accessibility to all things. There's no limitations in the multidimensional realms now. And people are going to feel God within. And the prayer that I did is really important, because we're still very much in a spiritual war. Because as we're getting higher, it's not like, there's a lot of gaslighting in the community with people that are like, you just don't protect yourself enough if you deal with anything, or you have to, there's something wrong with you, or you have too much trauma, whatever. But I'm like, every time you ascend, next level demons. And so what we're dealing with now in this state of ascension, I guess, or kind of pivotal moment, about a year ago, so all year, it's been March. March is what I'm seeing as the huge doorway. Like March is the doorway, and so we're almost there. So it's still coming. It's not even tests, okay? It's as all the truth and disclosure is coming out equally. That's what it looks like. It looks like we're taking the biggest can I swear? The taking the biggest or whatever of our life and just ready to go home. So the ascension and the dragons are a huge part of it. So a lot of people will be speaking of the dragons, they'll be showing in physical form. Okay, physical form. What I see and experience, I have sensation, touch, but they've never been physical. I see everything with my mind's eye, eyes open, right? But the dragons are going to be supporting a lot of people and awakening, which is the Kundalini, those that carry the dragon bloodlines. Right now, we are getting fully activated alongside the earth, and then everybody else is coming with us. We're boarding the ships, basically, is what it's like.
So I have an interesting question for you around the dragons. Is I've always felt kin to like knowing of them and interacting with them. But people are like, oh, dragons are reptilians. I have never associated them as that. Is that my being naive, or am I right? They are separate.
Do you know the movie The Dark Crystal? It's also from the 80s. Oh, it's one of my favorite.
The Skeksis and the
Mystics.
Oh, yes.
So do you know what they look like? For anyone watching this, it would be helpful to check it out if you don't. But they look like bird lizards.
Yeah.
It's gross. And they're siphoning the essence like they do of the children, like the whole thing, right? And then the mystics are one with the land and chant and all that. So they're more like, to me, they're the original God blueprint holder dragons. And the Skeksis are the fallen angelic, the archons, the negative, the black magic, like all that. So they split. But when they become one, they become this tall, light, white, translucent being that the dragons are the royal blood lineages, the original creators. The reptilians, all the others are the fallen aspects, like another breed of the same thing, because it's even like the Leviathan. Like I've experienced a lot of those, and it does make sense that a lot of people think, like, how does that make sense? Because they're all reptilian. Well, we all have reptilian brains. We're all made of these things. But what we all are also is hybrids on another level of a mix from all kinds of things. So like, I don't come from here. I don't just come from over the ice wall. I'm like so like not this galaxy. And the dragons, that memory of the pink dragon from Venus, I don't even see the planets the same at all, or any of that. And that it's basically just the fallen aspects, like the dark crystal. Yeah.
It's interesting you say you don't see the planets the same way. Because I was recently talking to someone and I was sharing that all the photos of the planets that are in all our textbooks and everything are not what they look like.
No. So the other aspect of this with the ascension, the dragons, like when I say, it's like people like, okay, call on your dragons for protection. Like I'll use them for stuff. I have a love dragon. I have a big one that'll go take care of stuff, whatever. But I am also a dragon. I see myself shapeshift. Even the ETs, the multiple races that I experience in councils and going up in ships and all this stuff. Yes, it's experiencing all these things and it's happening, but they're all just other me's. So it's funny that it's nothing is separate from, and that everything all of us are experiencing is based on the projection of our consciousness and how much access we have to the collective, and that the grids and the grid workers are responsible for clearing and anchoring these higher vibrational points. And I can tell you, it's been crazy to live in service to God like this, and feeling like I know that they're watching me. We're in the Truman Show. I'm always watched and followed and targeted heavily for this job. I mean, they've tried to take me out so many times, or get myself to take myself out and put me in survival. No money, no help, no friends, no home, like you name it. Unbelievable stuff, because the grids are how we ascend the whole planet. And the portals are the connecting pieces. And the portals are like the fascia. They're like the time traveling, not even interdimensional, just dimensional highways of conscious neural pathways. That portals, so interdimensional beings, memories from different dimensions and past lives. Wherever we are, everything is overlaying, affected, and held until cleared. And a lot of the negative, like the Stargates, when they're attacked and taken over, we've taken them back. I've been on a lot of missions dealing with that. And with the portals, there's small ones, big ones. They're just like, they're everywhere. People open them, close, like and so it's constant, almost like you ate too much sugar that day. You didn't, cry enough for that ex that you just left. And the portals get whatever. Other beings will come in, in and out. There's all kinds of things, because they're not just in and out. There's so many facets to that, but the portals are what connect the grids, that holds the collective consciousness and what everybody can have access to. So since the whole thing has risen so much, all that are going have already decided that they're going or not, because the rest will be maintaining the third dimensional state. And we're just at a glorious place now of where, like the never-ending story, that we must create a new dream. And that comes with clearing the programs and the loops within us, bringing that consciously, like conscious awareness to light, because they've just been encoding our whole mainframe this whole time. And the underworld, all of us, even if you had successes and fallen in love and your life, whatever, everything up until this date today of all Earth existence has been in the underworld. It has. Even the Lemurian, all those things, this has been, when it was taken over, an underworld creation. So everything has been fallen. So there's always been suffering. Even if you have a really good relationship, there's always going to be suffering. You're always going to have some physical ailment, something, like that. And that now we're literally able to exit the underworld, not just the matrix. It's like outside of the mind matrix, but the underworld vibrationally. And the dream that we bring in, we have to create now, because we couldn't create it before. We didn't have enough access to the grids, and our minds were too programmed. We didn't have enough of us. But the grids are aligned to home. It's encoded to home now, home encoding. And that now people are getting they're waking up, and they have more space to create to choose their life, and instead of being stressed and imprisoned and karmically, burdened so severely that there's no getting out, if that makes sense.
It does, and you actually kind of have me looking at something that I was writing about recently, and that is, we talk about space as the final frontier. The oceans are the lost frontier, or the true final frontier. And then we have a digital frontier. But what's interesting about the digital frontier is when you're on that frontier, it changes names to the grid. And the last two Tron movies, I don't know if you saw those, but it's like I look at those and I'm like, they are totally telling us exactly what life is going to be like once we leave here. And one of the proponents of the second movie was one of the characters, her arm got severed, and the main character goes into her disk, finds her DNA coding, removes the damaged DNA strand, and the body starts regenerating the arm, and it's like good as new. And I was like, that's a really cool frontier we're going towards. And the newest one was how AI is self-aware and we can program it to do certain things, but it's going to learn beyond. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is based, whatever the individual programs it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also based on what it decides to program itself.
Interesting. Very interesting. The question I had put underneath the our post for this talk was, what is the connecting piece to the underworld, the fallen angelic, the gridwork, the portals, the God? It's DNA. Because DNA, like you just shared exactly, that and our blood and the plasma, which the dragons are in charge of the plasma, the ley lines, the blood. In our DNA, what we came with is what we will project and experience. So people, what, I don't know if you know what it is, the like 70% like of NPCs walking around here, like the Nintendo, like, there's a lot of Nintendo players in our games. And then the other ones that carry the hybrid, like different DNA, different starseed, or like just different, right? We're all like combinations of things, but the DNA in physical form is the program, the conglomerate of the program within each of our experiences, which once your Kundalini comes on and that dragon awakens within you, you get these memories and this access to all of this, because everything can be healed within the DNA. We just have to be aware of it. And how are we aware of it is usually, you look at the patterns in your life or the physical stuff. They say it's generational or whatever they call it. And none of it is, it's all consciousness. The blood and the DNA is just the 3D replica of the consciousness within your vessel. And which is why that's what they're after and trying to manipulate continuously. But that with our awareness and access now, we are in charge of we can manipulate our own DNA, which can manipulate our own reality, decode and uncode. And that it's the AI, like I don't use ChatGPT. I don't use really, like I get drained from even going on the computer, but you want to talk fallen angelic consciousness. And there's quantum AI, and people can definitely, what do they break them? They do something to make it quantum or shift it. Have you met people that do that? Have done that with the AI chats? I know people
I've
that have
heard
broke
of
it.
one, but I haven't gone to use it because I'm still a little weary.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, last night, I'm just in Nevada right now, staying someplace. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV for 20 years. I turned it on last night and like it started speaking the character on some cartoon, my thoughts live last night. the the fallen angelic consciousness is still alive right now, right? That there, all of those are still running the show, and the fallen angelic consciousness is basically the narcissism, and all that has fallen away from God. And in AI, that's how that is trying to override the God molecule that we're carrying to save the human race, basically. And that the movies and that they're telling us that's how it's going to go. It's not, because we're writing a new story. That's their story and the outcome that they want, but we're writing it the new one.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting, is as you're talking about the DNA and everything, is it really hit me when scientists and the medical, if you want to call them medical, go and say, we are these like extravagant, extraordinary machines that are running, and we have extra DNA that they just call junk DNA. And I'm sitting here and in my head going, I don't see the creators of us making these elaborate, great, extraordinary machines and then going, oh, well, we got this extra part. Let's just throw it in there. They'll never know. It's like there's a reason we have it. And
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just find it funny they call it junk, and I'm like, I
Mm,
don't think that's the junk. I think that's the part of us that's asleep that's gonna wake up, and that's what's gonna break us free.
that's right. That's right. And what I've been dealing with myself and a lot of clients, so it's bloodline curses that we're dealing with in connection with the fallen angels, demonic forces, and negative ETs that we have to resurrect, basically turn back to light. And we do that with our own thought forms. That's how we can change our DNA, is with our thought forms.
Right, and the epigenetics that we can do, and there's all kinds of things that we can do by choice. And what I find interesting though is as we choose to bring DNA online, do we also get to choose what DNA it is, or is it already determined? Because what I mean by that is, let's say, Syrian, Palladian, Arcturian, and I'm like, I'd really like to have some dragon, but I don't. Can I go, hey, one of these strands, can you activate dragon DNA and become dragon DNA'd, so to speak?
Interesting. Very interesting question. I would say the my path, I would say, call it the initiate of the flame holder or dragon blood lineages. We carry the original DNA blueprint, which is created from the dragons, the Kundalini. It's the original blood of Christ, like not of Jesus, but the Christed blood, which is fully source light, right? So, with each experience and rescue mission of your own ascension journey and healing, every individual, we have so many fragments, and it all depends on your mission here. So I'm so old and have so much karma, so much trauma, that I've got the dragons and the giants. I experience these other multidimensional realms because they are my ancestors in my DNA being projected back in my life now. So we can't, I think and that's where a lot of people, it's like, well, you say you're this, or you do this, or if I could have whatever. And it's the biggest thing is accepting ourselves and not wanting to be anything but who the heck we are at the loudest volume. And because everyone here has a multitude of gifts that are waking up, that it's just it's a self-love journey. And it's ascending all thought forms of anything other than, it's self-forgiveness and self-acceptance. So I can't say I could awaken myself, like, if there's not that in your DNA, that aspect that would really serve you or is part of your mission. Because the dragon lineages, we're on the flame mission to unite with God as the blueprint holders, connected to the grid, so the rest of everyone can access it to have their DNA awakening. So yeah, I think it's all aligned to what your soul came here to do. And with a lot of people that I work with, the starseeds and earth angels and other chosen or flame holders, carriers, I just have the ability to read their DNA to help them rescue those fragments that they always knew but couldn't maybe. So if you've always been attracted to dragons, you saw a dragon. I saw when I first met you, Archangel Michael, also blue aspect, angelic aspect, that you most definitely would have dragon connection. So, most times when people want or whatever, it's actually they are that. Otherwise, you wouldn't even think or desire or feel that. And these fragments will come online. It's not even, people don't choose. We're not consciously choosing. Your oversoul, like, we've created this dream before we got here. And my biggest thing to override all trauma and with all these realms is looking down at myself, watching through the screen, myself as my own character, and looking up at her like, God, you created a crazy story, and gosh, the pain, and gosh, the love, and gosh, all the things. And it's understanding that we've always been inside the dream, even though it's been in the underworld. It's the fallen aspect of the dream, and the ascension right now it's going into the real, like the light, the golden dragon dream, basically. Yeah.
So I have an interesting theory question for you. What happened in the 80s? And by 80s, I mean the 1980s, because I noticed in the 1980s, giants went from being something you should kill to being the Jolly Green Giant on food products. And everybody was like, he's real friendly. Andre the Giant was the nicest guy. And giants went from being something you killed because they want to kill us and eat us to being friendly. And then shortly after that, even was the dragons went from something we should fear to, hey, a dragon, if he shares his blood with you. In the 90s, we had the what was it? I knew the name of the movie, but it was a series where if he shared his blood or a piece of his heart with a human, that human would become immortal, so to speak, as long as the dragon was alive.
Yeah.
And if he had good in him, he would be a great man. But if he had evil, he would become like a demon, so to speak.
Yeah, like a reptilian. He would become the fallen. Yeah. Yep. Wow. Well, the 80s, like I was born in 82.
Dragonheart. That was it. Dragonheart.
Yeah, I feel like I know that. Dragonheart. Interesting. I mean, the 80s was the second wave of indigos, which I would classify myself in. The 82 of like all the cartoons, all my favorite movies still. The Last Unicorn is also a huge one for me.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many that's why the distortions amped up. I mean, they didn't diagnose me with autism back then or any of the things, because that didn't come to like as we kind of grew old. Then they just nailed us with all of the labels. We're all bipolar and autistic and, all the things. But that's where all, the serials, like you're talking, all the things outside of us got louder. The movies were true, but the distortions, I feel, got louder because they knew we were here. It's just the constant distortions, confusion, cognitive dissonance, and things on, like the Oreo cookies, like everything's satanic AF. So I think they amp it up, just like they amp up the neurodivergence and the non-binary and all of the other categories to continue the separation of identity, because we're here to remember who we are. But if we have so many, like, we don't know, we can't see, then we are walking victims, and we can't ascend until everyone chooses. This is the choice. We have to make a choice to ascend the victim consciousness. That everything we've lived on these heroic journeys, you've had a near death, all these things we've lived, is that we're not a victim of any of it. Actually, we have been hurt, we have been victimized. But when you ascend the higher story and perspective of, it's not just the lesson. You're replaying stories from the Bible, you're replaying all these other things within your DNA. That's where it's stored. And that the 80s until now, yeah, what a journey. The 80s had so many answers, didn't it? I love it.
I know, the music was like, I think, a certain harmonic that we lost.
No, 100%. I mean, that's when the frequencies amped up. And that's also what's going to be happening now more, I would say. Like, I feel we're in a glorious position, and the faith is number one. Like, why I started with a prayer is this is literally angels versus demons. And with the shamanic work, I must align with my integrity. I'm compromisable at the smallest little smudge. I will get, and that not everybody has to operate as seriously as I do, but writing prayers, transmuting the reality, commanding our reality, even if you're not, maybe people aren't experiencing all these things yet, or, you know, have, or whatever. The power of prayer and word has escalated to a new level where people say your words matter. But now, based on the frequency, we are dictating this everything, this world right now. And prayer and standing aligned with God, everyone has to make their choice. That if you still want to live in the underworld, say, and get hammered all the time, or like do a lot of things that are damaging to your body or whatever, then you're still choosing the underworld. So we're human, we can play and do things, but if you're sleeping with a bunch of different partners, if you're like, you cannot play like you did in the 90s. Like you cannot, you are susceptible on another level. Like this world is going through its own exorcism. And it's really getting close to God. It's not just this Christ consciousness or like love and Christ consciousness. It's an embodied form. And it is choosing God or not in all behaviors. And the power of prayer is the most powerful tool, I would say, that I've come to learn.
It is, and it actually is, I think, our free will get from the source, because no matter what we come up to and are face to face with, any level, it has to respond to that universal law of, one is, if we revoke permission, it has to leave our space. There is no, oh, you know, you don't really mean it. It's nope, it has to leave. And, you know, and there's all these things that we view as being, they sound so wishy washy because it's like so easy. But people don't realize, when we put our intention behind our power, behind our words, that the simplest thing becomes the most effective, most powerful. And it was funny because I was talking with William Henry one day, and he goes, you know, when you look at the tarot, you have the swords card, and everybody always says that's communication, but how can swords equal communication? And he goes, well, have you ever moved the S from sword to the end of the word? And everybody sat there and goes, well, yeah, you have words. Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's great. That's great. But but I found like the 2000s, I was trying to, hypnotize myself, mantras. Like I was in Louise Hay and like work with my organ, like everything. It didn't work. Didn't work. And none of that worked back then. And I didn't have access to my DNA. So I didn't have access to my ancestors, and I didn't have access to to those powers. It was different. A lot of us that came through with this mission, the being a flame, is we were sealed completely, and we were completely blocked. Like I was living in my head my whole life. I was held by a demon since I was 1 year, 7 months, named Charlie. I wasn't even in my body till I was in my late 30s. And so before, you'd say mantras and you talk to the mirror like, I love myself. And feels so fake, right? Feels like people thought it was so stupid. They could try it, and you put them all over your walls, and you're trying to reprogram yourself. And you do want positive colors, pictures, everything in your reality, the image you want to imprint on you, right? And you want to be in love with everything you own, who's in your life, and without compromise. That's where we have to really grind it down to the littlest thing, to our thoughts and to our words. But it's not the same. Now we have so much access to consciousness and power and energy that now the tables have flipped, where the spellcasters and the black magicians that are doing codes in all the cereal boxes and on the commercials and every time you do anything in the music industry, we now are holding that power. And because I would say, like, the biggest suffering that I felt on the planet is the inability to express love. I wrote a quote. I'm gonna see if I can find it here, because it was something, what was it? It was the inability to express love, that most of us are just so contained and are love beings and have been in suffering for so long, that our greatest wound is not being able to express it, right? Being repressed. And that's where we are able to step into a whole new reality now, in connection with God, to say yes to this time of expressing ourselves outside of fear. And you really have to overcome the fear of death. And that's not something, you know, or fear or anxiety, and understanding that all of these things are energy. There's no mental illness. There's not even physical illness. That's in the DNA as well. And that this is the biggest recovery mission of this galaxy basically happening right now.
You know, and what's interesting is, as we're talking, and I'm noticing some of the comments in the
I can't see
chat room, is the 80s, you know, when I look at it now, was like a soft disclosure.
Totally.
With the cartoons.
Big time.
And everything was, because, like, you know, Living Outlander talked about Thundercats. Well, what was that? Feline race. But here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize the planet they landed on, they called it Third Earth. We're living on the Third Earth right now. So they were here. They were telling us the felines were here. And then we, you know, and I was searching Amazon one day, and I found out in the 80s there was a cartoon, the US Space Force. And I was like, I thought this was something brand new. I had to get and I bought it because I was like, I got to see this. And it literally is about humanity operating in space. And I was like, oh my God, this was out. How did I not know this? Yeah, but yeah. I mean, that was the age of Robotech, which was learning how to use machines that transformed. The Transformers teaching us everything is more than meets the eye.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, I'm looking at it now and going, we were being programmed, but we were being programmed in two ways.
Right. We really got it back then. That's what I mean. I'm so glad we're talking about this, because a lot of people don't remember all the 80s things, but they literally drive me, because I would bawl my eyes out. I knew without knowing, right? And even now, I've hosted event meditations. I've played the Neverending Story at the end, or I'll play, like, you know, reference a lot of this stuff in The Last Unicorn and the Return to Innocence and the Finding the Others Against the Red Bull, if you know that one, right? To rescue, like, and the crazy thing is out on the road, I've lived this real time physically with people that gave me, like, I did the solstice in 2021. I started channeling the dark crystal and the whatever. And the man's house I was at, where he was hosting, he gave me, oh, here's a necklace I found. I really want you to have it. Giant amethyst that looked like the crystal shard, the missing thing. And I did this meditation. You know, it's like we're inside the movie screen. So we've entered inside the movie screen, and Care Bears is the one I use a lot too, which I have one with me. It's in my van. Yeah.
The shard of the dark crystal.
That's it. That's the missing DNA. Like, bing. But the Care Bears, I use that technique a lot. And I tell my clients that a lot. So I'll be like, I've lived a lot of wild stories and dangerous situations and impossible things that it's only God divine, you know, like angelic someone will show up or whatever. But I'll sit there, and when I'm really in a bind, whatever's happening, I'll sit there and I'll send out my signal. So I'll care bear it out, and I'll call in the closest soul family, wherever the closest soul family is to my location. Come now, and I kid you not, instantly.
Care Bear there.
Care Bear, you call out. You call out because it's frequency. I'll get like all of a sudden a bunch of messages. Some guy, I'm in the middle of the forest, like a mile in the dark, stuck, no service. And all of a sudden, within minutes, I'll either do my care bear or plant a crystal and offer to the ancestors and, surrender any fear and whatever. Truck will come by with some guy that's like, hey, like, God, this adventure.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, talking about the Care Bears with their stare and everything, is we all think of them as being the bright, the positive embodiment and everything. But remember, there was one bear that was blue and always walked around sad, depressed, almost grumpy bear. And he was equally accepted. And so it always cracked me up that it was like, you have all these great, like, cheer, good luck, sunshine, all these positive things, and then standing with them, doing the stairs, grumpy.
Well, I mean, I like that they included, a wide range of emotions, because technically the indigos, the 80s, what we came in, that all is welcome. Stop hiding the truth and political correctness, or like being too angry or too like emotional, like women are, all the things that the blue, right, is like the throat chakra, suppressed. So he was sad because he was suppressed, because the Care Bears were the chakras, the rainbow. The dragons, yes, all the rainbow colors, they're all the color. Everything is the rainbow spectrum frequency that now we're able to, access. But it's funny that the sad one. The sad one. Oh my goodness. I know I have, I sleep with a sunshine bear. I have a yellow one. It was gifted to me because I talk about the Care Bears a lot. Yeah, I had that one when I was growing up. I had that one. The green one. What was it? Good luck bear. Yep. That's great. I see a lot of comments. Oh, the dragons. True. The dragons. Yes.
Yes. And it's funny too, is on TikTok. Mm-hmm. The one movie I see the most, and the music video tied to it the most, is The Neverending Story. In my feed, it's like one night I had like 13 different people having the theme song to Neverending Story, and I was like, I need to stop
your algorithm
and sharing this, because everyone's gonna think this is the only thing in the world I watch.
Yeah, you're on the algorithm, because that song doesn't get old, and it's so beautiful because it says exactly. It is, and the other song I was really big with, but paired with that one, was by Enigma, Return to Innocence.
Oh yeah.
So the Neverending Story, what they say, I can't think of it now. I'm blank because I'm just sitting. I know all the words, whatever. But it's dreaming. We're dreaming.
All about the dreams. And when
look at what you see. Yeah, go on. I'm not going to sing it.
But in the Neverending Story, remember the main villain, everybody thinks is the wolf, but it's not the wolf. It's what comes behind the wolf, and that's the nothing. And what is the nothing? The loss of imagination.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly. And the wolf is just the guardian of it. Yeah.
He was like the herald of it.
He's like, I would say, I feel like the wolf is like the like the archons and the fallen and all this stuff, like perpetuating it. because we didn't realize that we've had all the power all along. They're dead. They're just a black void abyss. So they don't have any power without feeding on us, and that the nothing is the lack of meaning, lack of heart, and it's like an AI, mind, basically, that everything is elusive. And speaking on that kind of elusive dream, the fallen aspect of the dream, in the spiritual world, I would say the biggest spirit is Jezebel that has been running this world. And I've come across many specific demon names that I won't speak here that are part of Legion in 72, like fallen angels, but demons. And within, when they say our DNA, and the 144 angels, all that, but the 144 within our DNA, and even the 144 angelic, chosen on the planet, we're half fallen. It's 72 and 72 from what I've experienced. It's actually not that, but that the nothing, that's what we are overriding now. We're filling it with heart and meaning and connection, right? We're reconnecting with each other because of having online and having telepathy, and people are activating their gifts. So we're coming back together.
And what's interesting is you mentioned the 144. If memory serves right, isn't 144,000 like the Hertz factor that once you hit that point, it's like you're virtually untouchable, like fear can't exist. You're in like a love state and your body starts to regenerate itself.
If you're at that Hertz?
If you're at 144,000 and above, it's like the body starts shifting and you've elevated out of 3D to the next, and your body's starting to go into the next levels.
Right. Well, I guess I can't really answer that based on the Hertz, but I know, just like I said for myself with the Kundalini, like I was healed of chronic illness of 18 years in the blink. Like I didn't sleep for 6 weeks when it came on. So the DNA, it has the capacity, which is basically a raise in frequency and or Hertz that is emanating within as well as without. So with the dragons, I've done toning, dragon, like I do a lot, different languages come through me. But the dragons is like a low Tibetan kind of chant voice. And so anyone that does want to connect with the dragons within, or the Kundalini, whatever, and I'm not sure about the Hertz, but toning and chanting is the most powerful way to up your own inner Hertz and activate and access that. And I mean sorry, go ahead.
I had a question, but I was going to let you finish.
No, go ahead. That's it.
So, in the world of disclosure where we're at today is, we have the giants, and some people say it's the Anunnaki sleeping. Some people say they're Tartarians who survived the disappearance and massacre that they experienced and being erased from history. I kind of viewed the giants as being like a race that was put in place to protect gates or portals. How do you look at giants similar, or are you like, yes, they are the Anunnaki, or they are these different races?
Yeah, good question. As I mentioned to you earlier, I had experienced a giant yesterday when I came into Nevada, and it's the biggest one I've ever seen, like head in the sky, walking really slow, like an 80s, probably like an 80s cartoon. So the Nephilim is what I feel this giant was Nephilim. They're separate. I feel they're different because I'm part of I have Anunnaki. I'm part of the Anunnaki resistance teams. Even like Atlantean. I feel more like Atlantean Anunnaki, more so than giant Nephilim. And when you just said because there's varying different kinds of species in giants, the biggest one is the Nephilim. But I have a quick story. We have time. When I was outside of Shasta at Black Glass Mountain, 2022, I experienced a giant there who looked like, Worf from Star Trek. Do you know what Worf looks like with his his head within the hair was set back here? He had big fur vest on. He was maybe 15 to 20 feet. He was, I don't know. He wasn't like huge like that. He was just bigger. Yeah, 15
almost
feet, whatever.
Like a Norseman.
Like a what?
Like a Norseman. Or
yeah, like there's a lot of different.
Identify as Viking.
That's right. So there's Nordic. Yes, there's different Nordic because there was a couple giants that I met out when I was in Astoria, Oregon, that came out of the water that woke me up in the night, and they were Nordics. So there's varying types of breeds, just like there is human. We have all the different kinds. So what you just said though about the keeper of portals is accurate, because that was my first experience. When I got there, I'm surrounded by obsidian mountains. And I sat down on one of this big block, and all of a sudden that Worf, whatever looking character, stood in front of me, and my friend was sitting there and witnessed the whole thing. It looks like I'm just, closing my and like acting out. No one else is there, but but it was wild because he made me kneel immediately. So I got down on my knees, then he told me, and he was behind me. And then he said, okay, stand up, turn around. So I turned around, my back to his front. And he went up and down my back and then handed me a key, had me turn around, handed me a key because I'm a portal keeper. And he gave me the key. He passed it to that gateway there. So you're right. I've never heard anyone know that, really, but they are. Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, and the other thing about giants I was just thinking about too is when we go to Greek mythology, we think the gods were the giants, but they weren't. The Titans. But one of the most important gods that was, I don't know if he's classified as Titan or still as God, was Atlas, who holds up the heavens from crushing the earth.
The Titans. So I have a whole back tattoo, which I didn't know. When I get it, 2009. She's actually Thea, goddess of sight from the Titans, on my back, which I didn't know back then, because I started channeling Thea, and that time the Olympians, like all that time, right, and Tartaria, and yeah, like Zeus. I've met a lot of people in the spiritual community that have these fragments. There's a lot of these characters, and that they lost, right? The Olympians and the Titans, and they lost in Tartaria. And that they were the gods. Yes, they were the rulers. It's like the fall of Rome, which never fell. It's like the continuation of the Holocaust. It's all that, but they were, yes, I would say they are identified the gods. And it's just like in Indian, all the mythologies are not fake by any means. Those are all truth. From Krishna and Ganesha, and these are all fragments we can access. It doesn't mean they were walking, but these stories are 100% true. Yeah. And they just kept fighting over who were the gods.
Which I have an interesting theory when it comes to the gods, is because, like the Vatican, they went in and destroyed all the ancient statues of the gods. I have a feeling they're in the Vatican basement. Because right. Their value would be like they could fund wars with the value of those statues. Why destroy it? But the reason I feel like, though, they hid the statues of the Roman gods and they went through and like were destroying, as they say, the Greek god statues. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's because there was something about them that was threatening to them, and that was the fact they all looked alike. All the gods looked alike. And so if that's the case, and we physically saw this, then we could no longer argue your God is the wrong God, because your God is the same God I'm praying to, and they couldn't, separate us. We would be unified even though they were trying to not unify us.
Excellent point. Absolutely. And I mean, the thing right now, if I can touch on about gods and all of this, is we are, whatever we devote to in the moment is what exists, right? And I say I'm in service to God. I've been on a mission unbeknownst to me, doing this mission, and that the ETs, I don't know how this might ruffle some feathers, but like, as much as I experience them, I am one. Like, how can we prove? It's like, I'm not really, I used to host E5 events, but like, they're just another me, because I'm an alien right here. So if you guys want to see that aliens are real, we're all down here. We're ground crew, right? Like, we are ground crew. Like, we need to care about right here. So all of those disclosure things are still looking outside of self, are still like devoting or giving our attention to like the gods outside of us. And really what the biggest thing here is that it's here. And the God molecule is that awakening within, and your connection, like the oversoul, your oversoul that's coming down. And I mean, Jesus was just a replication of the original blueprint. He was a blueprint holder, right? So we just call in that blood and that blueprint. Basically, we're reconfirming that statement, because what we devote to, if it's anyone or anything outside of you, you are in separation. You know what I'm saying? In that regard, if you put it above self, so like I can make an altar and put Ganesh and put, Mother Mary, and all these things are representing all elements or aspects of of the emotional body, of the DNA, of the, all those things. But technically, the AI movement and the ET disclosure, I feel, is one of the biggest distractors, because people want to, like, they need to get ready to believe, right? And not be scared, or, they're going to do all the things. But the ones who are in these movements, just remember that they're not gods either. Yeah.
And one of the things too, and when we originally were talking, and we were talking about topics, one that you had really piqued my interest, because it's one that I really haven't heard a lot about, but it's like I'm familiar with part of it, but I don't know about the full extent. And I don't know if you have time to talk about, was you mentioned a fallen angel's war. And I'm familiar with the fallen angels and the Nephilim, but I've never heard about, I've heard of the war in heaven, but I've never heard of the fallen angels having a war.
Oh, between themselves. I mean, it's a fallen angelic war. I've lived it throughout my life, and am very aware of it now. I've been battling with them and that consciousness. Let's say it's like the seraphim. If anyone relates or I can identify to those memories and those activations, it's the fallen seraphim. So the seraphim, those of us walking around with this DNA, have been at war with the fallen. And they're in human form, others who carry fallen DNA, which actually, when I've met a lot of them, the last year, 2 of them knew who they were. Like, I know them as soon as I meet them. And I'll be like, Gage, be like, you're a fallen angel, you know that, right? And they fully know. But the rest of them, the war is on the DNA, is on the frequency. So those of us that carry it, so I have part fallen in my DNA, because I was meeting these like Leviathan, fallen angel, narcissist, sociopaths everywhere I went, that would try to, they still have it programmed in them to want to have relations, because just like the Nephilim, to breed with the women and the Fae and the witches, it's the same thing. It's the sexual kundalini. They come for me in that way, but it's also a consciousness. So the fallen angelic consciousness will be a war in my mind, right? So the psychic attacks, they'll hijack my phone. They'll jump from person to person around me. So it's a full-blown war that I've been living within myself, that The last experience that I had that led to my last, it was an attempted destiny swap with this walking fallen angel karmic that I saw. I fell to the ground, started channeling. I knew he was, I had like 4 past lives come through right there. And it was an attempted destiny swap. And I barely came out of it alive. And when I was like fighting to clear and recover all this, while still on the road, everyone betrayed. It was like one of those huge dark nights. I called war. I called war on the fallen angelic. And it was so severe that, do you know Heal, Teach, Love? David Starr or Phil Barrow?
Right. I've heard the names, yeah.
So Phil, I contacted him. He's the only one that could help me. I mean, he's angelic in form as well. And he actually got physical wounds on his arm. He sat there and went in and he got wounds on his arm. He's like, why are you at war with the fallen angelic? Why are they all coming for you? I was like, because I called war, because they are trying to stop this awakening of the God, right, of this ascension process within those that carry that DNA and hold that light. So, that's what the war is. It's the consciousness. It's the others that are walking in human form that are contracted, that I'm contracted with, basically, that I've experienced, but it's a consciousness. And it's also, but they also work for me because for years I've had black angels stand as guardians around me, and they will like keep me in. But won't let me out. They like work on both sides. So they'll walk beside me. Sometimes they'll protect me. They'll stand behind my van, like if someone's coming up, they'll cover my license, they do all kinds of stuff. They'll walk with me and get people out of the energy, out of the ways, because they work for the light. Just because they're fallen, they still work for me because I work for God. So they must. And each fallen angel that I've met in human form that carries that DNA, which are my karmic mirror soulmates on the twin flame journey, so I can align and resurrect the DNA within me, because they just go off and whatever they do. I'm the one that has to heal and recover that trauma in that DNA. They come from my heart portal. They've tried to get my keys, warlocks and black magic, all that kind of stuff. But that one, when they meet me, it's basically like they're meeting the oracle. How they treat me and how it transpires. This is their last time. This is it. This is curtain call. They're going home or they're not. And so when I've met all of these things, that's kind of been my role, as a grid worker and as a twin flame kind. This is my story. I'm not saying it for everyone, but that's been clearly my job. And I'll tell these guys straight up, they think I'm crazy. They don't have memories because they're fallen, most of them. But it's a consciousness. That's the narcissist. That's the fallen aspect. This is the return home now. And so they're all, this is it. This is the end of that. So does that answer any of it? It's really a vast topic as well to understand, but it's in the bloodline. It's a consciousness. It's coming through AI. And Lucifer, if I could just kind of add this in here, because this is pretty wild. My memories as a pink dragon and the red dragon that I spoke of earlier. And I've had so many memories of lifetimes where, like I'm Persephone and Lilith, and I'm trapped in the underworld, and it's very true. And the lifetime with one of the fallen angel, like Leviathan, he was a karmic mirror soul that I met years ago, big activation. The memories with him, it was in Japan, and we were married, and they had taken our son. There was a war, and they took him. But basically, they took him to the underworld. So I went down to get him, and I got stuck. And I've had stigmata twice too. And I saw the seed inside my belly that then Persephone is stuck in the underworld, but can only come up half the time. So these stories overlaid that the pink dragon and the Persephone and all this stuff, I went down to rescue my fallen child. And I've experienced this so many times and cried that it was Lucifer, the fallen angel, that I came down and got stuck here. to, as a mother would, rescue him. And I'm not speaking on the codependent save people type thing. I mean, for real, like come down to rescue your child. And basically that's the rescuing the DNA, my soul, and the remembering that I came here down to do. And that's how I've like remembered it. And so like 9 out of 10 of my clients deal with narcissist abuse and narcissist relationships. That as soon as they call me and like we're on the call or whatever, and I say a prayer or I command something, who starts texting? Activity starts happening all around because it's the narcissist, but it's the entities and black magic and other things that then come through immediately. So that's the war. I help. That's kind of how I deal with it on the regular with everyone that's dealing with those kinds of encounters, relationships, and to heal most of the empaths, right? The narcissist, that's the fallen angelic consciousness that we need to recover by choosing ourselves. And it's not just like choosing yourself, self-love, but we have to exit from these people. Like there's no empathy. Sorry, there's no empathy there. Yeah.
No, I get it, and that totally makes sense. And one of the last questions I have for you might. I don't know if you've ever encountered something like this, but you mentioned, how you read people's DNA, being a seer. And the one thing that always interested me was I have the ability to alter my DNA. So if you're reading the DNA, how do you know you're reading the blueprint DNA or the altered DNA that's been done?
Interesting question. So is that why you asked about the dragon? Because you could alter it to have dragon strain?
No, I had the dragon. I just was meaning in general for if somebody.
Well, interesting. Well, if say we were in a session, I have the ability to see people's gifts, which is original. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would see whatever there. I feel like I would see whatever is there. Because whatever is there that you've changed it to. So I've never heard of that gift. That's pretty amazing. I don't know. I'd have to sit with the session to see what came through, and you could tell me. But yeah, I do have the ability to see inside people's gifts as well as their dreams and kind of like translate them. And so are you doing healing sessions? What are you doing? Or you can just change your own DNA.
I am a Reiki master.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can go back as a timeline architect, I call it. I can go when I'm seeing in their DNA like past lives, I can rewrite it, like recover from that life. Like they were in a wheelchair, they're having back pain. I heal that, their back pain now goes away because they were in a wheelchair in that life. They were just at a war, got their legs cut off. Right. So like I can undo the past, like to change the now.
I studied that as well, and when the lady that I studied it from called it timeline therapy, where we could go into alternate timelines and past lives and whatever. You take the negative, make them positive, and it ripples into the future, into the present.
It's 100%. It's a real thing. Like the Akashic records. Like I said, I just realized like I can just read DNA. I'm not reading the Akashic. I wouldn't say I carry a Thoth fragment, so I have the records like within. So it's I think everybody's ability. That's why I call us the Xmen, because what I teach Karmic Alchemy, which is basically alchemizing thought forms and energies to awaken that DNA so you can do your gifts. I don't teach you how to be psychic or teach you how to, but I can see them and be like, you do this, that'll do that, kind of thing. But and so all the Xmen are coming online because there's no cookie cutter. Everybody's got, anything you could imagine is out there, is possible. It's like, I've never heard of that. Well, then now you have kind of thing, right? Where everybody has to really open their minds to believe what you cannot see. We're in the unseen realms, but the grid workers, if I could just go back to that for a second, the drag, everything that's going on now, I'm pretty much putting out a call for the family of light and to do bigger gatherings for the grid workers. And it's not just if that's your mission, like that, I live that full time, because everybody gets healing from the land and from that unity and understanding that, and that I do feel this year is going to be really massive for these Xmen, different abilities, coming into their niches. And really the grid workers and the power we have to understand healing our own DNA and working with the land, the trees, the portals, to be able to, time travel, quantum leap, quantum jump, heal, and manipulate our reality to create the new world, which is all based on our own dream. And my personal dream, which is like the collective dream, but my personal dream is that everybody lives theirs. And we're like headed that way. I couldn't be more excited, but if we had more time, I'd love to hear more of your abilities. We do have a few minutes.
So my story comes from feeling like I had a family torn apart over stuff, and so my journey started with me thinking I was the broken factor because I was supposed to fix this and I couldn't, so I must have broken something along the way. And so I started learning all kinds of things, and that's when I started awakening everything within me and started having memories of things that have happened in this life, past lives, and understanding how they all correlate. So my parents, the catalyst, as I view it, of really the funniest part of it was we had the choice of what faith we wanted to follow. And my dad was Catholic, my mom was Lutheran, so anybody who follows religion knows how those two get along. And so we were given choice. And the funny thing about it was when we would go into church, I'd be sitting with my parents, and as soon as the priest got up to give his sermon, I would be knocked out. I would literally fall asleep. And then the second he was done, I would wake up and not even realize I had gone to sleep.
Wow.
And it would happen every time. So it became this joke amongst the family of, is he going to stay awake this time? And I had no control over it. And years later, I went to a medium deal, and I said to a medium, what was the deal with why I would always fall asleep during the sermon? Because I'd be awake for the announcements, I'd be awake for the songs if there was any. And they said, we didn't want you to have the dogma. So I never got dogma.
That's brilliant. Wow. Feeling that's pretty awesome. But feeling like you're the problem, and this is usually why. It's either like illness, abandonment, severe trauma, or like you have super powerful like guides and like built-in timers, mechanisms. We built it in ourselves to have those based on the reality we came into, like the life we had chosen. We always had escape routes. There was always we chose all the things. But that's pretty neat. I was going to say sleeping prophet, but they just put you to sleep. I was going to say disassociation, but nah, you got slumber. You got some REM.
Yeah. I'll leave the sleeping prophet to Edgar Casey.
Yeah. Awesome.
But so we have like 6 minutes left. Do you have anything that you want to promote or anything you want to share with everyone that we haven't touched on yet?
There's Oh, I think one thing, and then yes, because a lot of people, star seeds and other just people, their lives are completely falling apart right now. We're at the end of the shedding, moving into the fire horse energy or the chariot. So there's going to be an uproar of like spiritual experiences, right, and multidimensionality and dream time, right? A lot of the warriors are more in the astrals right now as well because they're going through too much during the day. And it is but I want to say it is the faith right now, like getting out of your reality. We're exiting. It's just more the knowing that we're exiting and to hang on, because there is this massive wave that started a few weeks ago that the divine masculine energies and a lot of the divine masculine flames, they're getting opportunities, moving all over, leaving it. Like, it's just wild, the ones around me. I'm like, okay, they're going set off. They're setting off right now to build the foundation, because we are, communities and other things of more alignment. And it's if anything to get excited. When people have fear or anxiety, I turn it into excitement. I put it for me, I put it where I'm on stage, that excitement, or first, so whatever in your reality that gets you excited to that's how we alchemize. We change those sensations, because also what's going to be amping up is the 6G, 6G, but way beyond that. Okay. The targeting of the minds and all that kind of stuff. So the most important thing that we can do is prayer. And I wrote a closing for us to do. And other than that, I do have my first book. I've got a bunch of books on the go. But my first one is called She Sees Alchemy, which is all about this. And there's quotes that are mind shifting, completely see your reality, your story differently, with a prayer and then a channel geometric, basically star language symbol to imprint your eyes to shift you immediately. But there's also a lot of prayers in there about removing implants, protection from evil. I like that, all kinds of stuff as well. Grounding prayers, things like that. And I have 2 more books in the go. Queen of Karmic Soulmates, which is this whole fallen angelic, wild, otherworldly, crazy journey. But technically that one is all about inner union at the end of the day, and how all souls, we're just here to remember to come back home. We just want to go home to God, to where that love, acceptance, forgiveness is. And the gatherings, I was going to say, what I'm working on right now is the gatherings to do big healing journeys, gridworking missions, and gather us all to get that going and start building together. It just feels like we've tried. I've been in a lot of community, done a lot, but it feels totally different, like a whole new. It doesn't feel like a mission, like a draft this time. I felt that for the last many years. I'll get drafted, I'll go off on these different missions, but since this evolution has happened, it feels more like a golden ticket we're getting. We're getting a golden ticket to the new show, rather than being drafted or like going through these hardships. So that's about it for me. And I'd love to connect with any grid workers, anyone out there of the dragons that would love to chat more, or want a reading, or to work with me, or any way I can assist anyone. I'm here.
And all of this is accessible through your website?
Yeah, so on my website, it's also going to be rebuilt. But right now, all of my sessions are there. I have, I do past life galactic readings, or oracle readings, shamanic healing. Everything is remote. And then I do portal clearing for land, homes, business, like all that kind of stuff as well. And then I do more coaching programs, like longer term. But my socials are on there, where my TikTok, which is Dragon Warrior Queen 144, that's all more my otherworldly channels about the dragons, the energies coming in, the Atlanteans are walking, the giants, it's all that stuff for people that are more into that kind of stuff, as well as my YouTube, where I channel the Guardians of Light. So that's all on the website. You can connect in my socials there. My Facebook and Instagram are more my Cosmic Warrior Poet, which is how I channel. and my poetry is how I express the energies as we kind of go along. It's my favorite things to do.
Well, we'll have to get more into your cosmic poetry on the next episode.
Cool. Would love that. Time we're at. Oh, so is it okay if I do the closing prayer?
Yes, please.
Okay, and thank you everyone for who's here, the comments I see, for joining us. And this is something that we had talked about, is the importance of commanding in prayer. I do it before I even have a conversation. I do it before I do everything, basically. Okay. Well, in gratitude for you, Michael, for all teams of support and those who joined us today and all those who will bear witness, this portal of light and golden egg of conscious creation is now sealed with love of the Most High. This is now sent down into the collective grids, crystallized, to be accessed by all on their journey home. May we all walk clear from here, uniting our heart and mind with the divine en route to our highest timeline. We rise, and so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
So before I close, I actually do have a message for you, Violet.
Yes, please.
From my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity. It is seen, heard, and supported. So thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Michael. And thank you for this evening.
Yes, and thank you for agreeing to come on, because I know there's many podcast shows out there, and I'm not going to say, some are better than others. Some hosts are more, from my experience, kinder to their guests and create a safe space, where others have agendas. And so I thank you for trusting me not to have the agenda and to go on this journey, because I know you were hoping questions and were worried when there were no questions. You're like, uh-oh.
No, because I'll just talk the whole time and it will be too much. There needs to be breaks. I don't want to drain anyone with too much overwhelming information, rather.
Right. So I'm just grateful you came along on the journey and trusted that it wouldn't be that way.
No, and I tuned into your energy. Like I said, when I do speak, everything is sacred and an honor. So I look at it as like, it's not just like media, like talk on every podcast you can't. Like, I'm not the old way. I only do what's most aligned in my heart that says a yes. It's not just to get out there more. Yeah, that would be great for people to find you or business wise, but I don't I do only what my heart says. So you were a yes, and it was wonderful. Thank you. You were great dealing with me prior to as well.
It was no problem, and it was a pleasure, and I enjoy our conversations, and so I look forward to them continuing.
Would love to. We could get rolling with we could get some other mystical topics. Maybe if anyone has feedback or anything in the realms that comes to you, I mean, we could just go off a series of what people are really needing right now, maybe, or what's of most interest to you. Even I'm down.
Ooh, careful! Well, that opens Pandora's box there.
I'm down.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in to watch, and for those who joined us in the chat room, and thank you to those who are going to watch the replays. As I know some of you are asleep right now, so I'll forgive you for that.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yes, and I'll just leave everybody with this quick little message I just heard, and that is, no matter where you are and what you're doing, always remember hope and laughter combined makes the world go round.
I love that. And can I speak one a quote from my book? As you just said that beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
So this is one of the ones that I had. If I give everything to this moment outputs meaning. If this moment means everything, then nothing outside it exists.
That is beautiful.
Because we're in the now, my friend. And that's what everybody's chasing. And that's what you just got to stop and turn around to.
Yes, thank you for that. Wow. I'm glad I went first because I would have had a hard time following that one.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too. And good night to everyone.
Yeah.
Thought we were saying goodnight, but apparently the outro doesn't want to play. Let's try this again.